Friends, if you want to watch super hit movie After Earth in English, then you must like this video. If you are visiting our channel for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, the movie we are going to talk about is called After Earth. We will talk about what this movie is and where you can watch it. All the interesting about this movie in today's video, I am going to tell you. I am also going to give you all the information on which I request friends to watch this video till the end. So let's start the video. After Earth is a 23rd American post-apocalyptic action-adventure film co-produced and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, who co-wrote the script with Gary Whitta. The film was loosely based on an original story idea by Will Smith about a father and son trip in the wilderness before it was eventually reworked into a sci-fi setting, taking place 1,000 years in the future, where humans evacuated Earth to another planet due to a massive environmental catastrophe. It is the second film after The Pursuit of Happiness, 2006, that stars real-life father and son Will and Jaden Smith. Will Smith, his wife Jada Pinkett Smith, his brother-in-law Caleb Pinkett, and business partner James Lasseter also produced the film via their company Overbrook Entertainment, while Columbia Pictures distributed the film. The film was co-produced by John Rusk, who was also the first assistant director on this film, as well as on many of Shyamalan's other films. 4. The film follows father and son, Cypher and Kitai Reiji, who find themselves crash-landing on the abandoned Earth. When Cypher gets injured from the crash, Kitai must travel across the wild environment in search of a backup beacon to fire a distress signal while having to defend himself from the highly evolved animals, as well as an extraterrestrial creature that detects its prey by smelling fear. The film was released in IMAX on May 31, 2013. Upon release, After Earth was panned by film critics who targeted the story, visuals, performances of Will and Jaden Smith, and Shyamalan's direction. It made $243.8 million at the box office, against a budget of $130 million. In the future, on a human-populated space colony, Nova Prime, the Krell extraterrestrial race attempts to take it over with creatures called Ursas, which hunt by sensing fear. Ranger Corps, a global peacekeeping organization, manages to defeat them with a fear-suppressing technique called ghosting, but not before an Ursa kills Senshi, the daughter of their leader, Cypher Rage. Blaming himself for his sister's death, Senshi's 13-year-old brother Kitai trains hard to become a ranger like Cypher, but is rejected. Kitai's mother Faya convinces Cypher to take Kitai on his last voyage before retirement. During flight, their spaceship is caught in an asteroid shower, causing them to crash land on Earth, which humans had evacuated 1,000 years earlier due to an environmental cataclysm. The two manage to survive, but Cypher's legs are broken in the process, and the main beacon for firing a distress signal is damaged. Cypher instructs Kitai to locate the tail section of the ship, which broke off on entry to the atmosphere. Inside is the backup beacon, which they can use to signal Nova Prime. Cypher gives Kitai his weaponized cutlass, a wrist communicator, and 6 capsules of a fluid that enhances oxygen intake so he can breathe in Earth's low-oxygen atmosphere. Cypher warns him to avoid the highly evolved fauna and flora and be careful of violent thermal shifts. Kitai leaves to find the tail section, with Cypher guiding him through the communicator. Kitai confronts many hazards along the journey. Bitten by a paralytic leech, after fleeing from a pack of baboon-like monkeys, he manages to self-medicate, but damages 2 of his capsules and does not report to Cypher. After being awakened by whom, Kitai takes shelter just as the thermal shift arrives, where Cypher tells him a story about how he conceived ghosting to kill the Ursas. Kitai reaches a cliffside waterfall, and Cypher learns about the broken capsules. Knowing that the only way to continue with 2 capsules would be to skydive, Cypher orders Kitai to abort the mission, but Kitai, believing that his father still sees him as a disappointment, refuses to comply after furiously blaming Cypher's absence at home for Senshi's death. Kitai is captured by a large condor, and his communicator is damaged. In her nest, Kitai tries and fails to defend her chicks against large panthers before escaping to a river, where he drifts on a raft. After a sleep where he dreams of Senshi, he wakes up to a thermal shift that nearly freezes him to death. The large condor, who had been following him, shelters Kitai at the last moment, sacrificing her life. Kitai reaches the tail section and tries to activate the emergency beacon, but the atmosphere blocks the signal. Kitai learns that the ship's Ursa has escaped and killed the rest of the crew. While he climbs up the volcano where he hopes to manage to activate the beacon, he is being followed by the Ursa. It attacks him, but Kitai is able to kill it using the ghost technique he learned from Cypher. After activating the beacon, he and Cypher are sent back to Nova Prime via a rescue team. Cast Jaden Smith as Kitai Rage, Sincere L. Bob as 3-year-old Kitai, Jaden Martin as 9-year-old Kitai, Will Smith as Cypher Rage, Sophie Okonedo as Fire Rage, Zoe Kravitz as Senshi Rage, Glenn Morshower as Commander Velen, Christopher Hivju as Security Chief, Sacha Dewan as Hesper Pilot, Chris Gear as Hesper Navigator, Diego Klattenhoff as Veteran Ranger, David Denman as Private Macquarie, Lincoln Lewis as Bow Running Cadet, Shiva Prabhukumar as Training Cadet, Isabel Foreman as Reina, uncredited. Production. Will Smith conceived the story for the film when he was watching the television show called I Shouldn't Be Alive with his brother-in-law Khalib Pinkett, who also served as one of the film's producers. It was originally not a science fiction story, but about a father and son crashing their car in the mountains or some remote region, with the son having to go out and get rescue for his father. Smith then decided to change the setting to 1,000 years in the future, which imposed a higher production budget. The film was also intended to be the first in a trilogy. Smith had his production company Overbrook contact Gary Whitta, who was then known for his script for The Book of Eli, with a simple logline for a film. A father and son crash-landed on Earth 1,000 years after it had been abandoned by humankind. Impressed with his idea and excited about the opportunity to work with him, Whitta fleshed out Smith's idea and pitched it to him, subsequently becoming the first employee on the project. A month after the release of The Last Airbender, Smith contacted M. Night Shyamalan on August 6, 2010, to wish him a happy birthday on his 40th birthday, and also to persuade him to direct his film along with his son Jaden, as the star. Smith and Shyamalan had planned to work on a film before, but it never worked out. Impressed with the entire script, Shyamalan officially made this project, then entitled 1000 AE, his next directorial effort on October 20, 2010, and quietly shelved his own secret untitled project with Bruce Willis, Bradley Cooper, and Gwyneth Paltrow loosely attached. There was another starring role for an adult male, but sources indicated that Smith would not be taking it on. Sony Pictures Entertainment has a first-look deal with Overbrook, so it was expected to be the studio home for A. E. Shyamalan later suggested the film would feature other members of the Smith family, and that it would not be in 3D, but he had an idea for something kind of technically interesting. In December 2011, Columbia Pictures, a subsidiary of Sony, signed up both Will and Jaden Smith to co-star in the film with Shyamalan directing. Shyamalan, who also co-wrote the screenplay with Gary Whitta, also additionally co-produced the film with Will Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Khalib Pinkett, and James Lasseter. Doug Belgrad, president of Columbia Pictures, made the announcement and said, "Knight is an outstanding filmmaker who has a tremendous vision for this science fiction adventure story, and we couldn't be more excited to be working again with Jaden after our experiences on The Pursuit of Happiness and The Karate Kid," and added, "We're thrilled to have the two of them together on this project." Shyamalan also added, "The chance to make a scary science fiction film starring Jaden and Will is my dream project." Will Smith's decision to take on the starring adult male role required him to step aside in producing and starring in the Hurricane Katrina drama The American Can, and offered the lead role to Denzel Washington instead. The shooting of the movie was also pushed back from September 2011 to January 2012. On July 25, 2011, Smith traveled to Costa Rica, accompanied by an entourage of about 20 people, including Shyamalan, to scout for locations to shoot the film. They visited sites like the Arenal volcano, hot springs, and a lake, and some beaches. In September 2012, Columbia committed to a June 7, 2013 release date. Shyamalan also scouted locations in Philadelphia. 50% of the filming was to take place at the new Sun Center Studios in Delaware County, Chester Township. Other locations would be in Costa Rica, Utah, and Northern California. Shyamalan also visited Valley Forge Military Academy, the filming location of TAPS, for research of the film, then entitled After Earth, as Jaden Smith would be playing a military cadet of the future. The screenplay by Whitta and Shyamalan was later polished by Stephen Gaghan and Mark Bowl. Jonathan Young, a psychologist and screenwriter, polished the mythic journey structure. As reported by Screen Rant in 2020, some scripts sidelined Will completely in favor of his son, Jaden, but Sony wanted him on the big screen as much as possible. Principal photography for After Earth began in February 2012. Much of the filming took place in Costa Rica, Humboldt County, and Aston. After Earth also became the first film from Sony to be both shot and presented in the emerging 4K digital format. It was primarily shot with Sony's Cine Alta F65 camera, which was shipped in January 2012. However, a skydiving sequence required a smaller-sized Canon Cinema EOS C500 4K camera, mounted on the helmet of a professional skydiver. The cinematographer Peter Sashitsky, who picked Sony F65 digital camera for the movie over other digital and film cameras, argued that benefits of film are lost when shown in theaters with digital projectors, as many are today. On April 19, 2013, Shyamalan then announced that the release date had been moved a week earlier to May 31, 2013, in North America and Korea, which put it against Now You See Me and The Purge, scheduled to open in the United States in the same week. A few days later, the U.S. release of The Purge was rescheduled for June 7, 2013, taking over the slot vacated by After Earth. Music main article, After Earth soundtrack. On May 3, 2013, it was revealed that Korean-American singer Jay Park would be participating on the official soundtrack of the film in Korea, with a song titled I Like to Party. Then on May 5, 2013, another 30-second snippet of the song was then released with another teaser and trailer. In July 2012, it was announced that James Newton Howard would score music for the film in his seventh and final collaboration with the director. An album consisting of Howard's score was released through Sony Masterworks on May 28, 2013. Marketing. The estimated worldwide marketing budget for After Earth was approximately $100 million in addition to the $130 million budget to produce the film. 29. Initial marketing began online with an internet marketing campaign on Facebook and Google+, including a teaser trailer. Alongside the Facebook marketing is a Web 2.0 site that lets people scroll through different images and paragraphs in a complex, dynamic way. An image of Jaden's character Kitai in costume was released online on February 15, 2012. Later on in the same year, another theatrical teaser was released alongside a trailer for the competing Joseph Kosinski film Oblivion. On March 12th, a modified version of After Earth's theatrical teaser was released as the official trailer. The official trailer was broadcast as a TV spot during late May 2013. The trailer featured the menu music of the video game Deus Ex Human Revolution, composed by Michael McCann. In a stark contrast to his previous films, Shyamalan's name was notably absent from several trailers, TV commercials, and marketing signage. Instead, Sony Pictures opted to feature Will and Jaden Smith prominently in the marketing campaign. 34. Sony's worldwide marketing and distribution chairman Jeff Blake said that Knight is, without a doubt, a world-class filmmaker who we were thrilled to team up with on this project. But, together, we decided to focus our campaign on both the action and both Will and Jaden, given that After Earth is an adventure story of a father and son. Alex Suskind of Moviefone pointed out to Shyamalan that After Earth was not being marketed on the strength of his name, unlike his previous projects, to which he responded, "There's such a specific expectation that comes with a name. It's nice to have people watch the movie and then have them talk about the storyteller. It's a healthy balance." On April 24th, XPRIZE, Sony and Overbrook launched the XPRIZE After Earth Challenge, a robotics competition to promote the May 31st release of After Earth. The film premiered on May 29th at Ziegfeld Theater in New York City, with a wide variety of celebrities attending, including Bruce Willis, 50 Cent, Spike Lee, and Justin Bieber. Canadian comedian Russell Peters, who made fun of Shyamalan when accepting the Razzie Award on his behalf for The Last Airbender, also attended, and even posed with Shyamalan. Sony Electronics hosted an exclusive 4K screening of After Earth at the Paramount Studios Theater on Friday, May 31st, during the 2013 Cinegear Expo in Hollywood. The event was held for registered Cinegear Expo attendees and Sony guests from 6:30 to 9:30 p.m., followed by a panel discussion with the filmmakers and production team. After guests filled the 500-plus seat theater, a second screening was held on Saturday, June 1, 2013, in order to accommodate additional guests from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. On June 6, the European Space Agency, ESA, partnered with Sony Pictures International to support the release of the film, stating that it shares common themes in the film of concern for Earth's future and educating the next generation. ESA and Sony are holding the After Earth competition to win the opportunity to go to Bordeaux, France and have a space experience. In weightlessness, on a parabolic flight on Novaspace's zero-G aircraft. The winner would have received paid travel expenses to and from Bordeaux and one night's accommodation for 2 people, and would only be eligible to participate in the reduced gravity aircraft on October 25th following a medical exam. Books. Several books were released as supplemental tie-ins for the film. After Earth, Innocence by Michael Jan Friedman and Robert Greenberger, illustrated by Benito Lobel. Innocence is a prequel comic book to After Earth released by Del Rey Books on November 14, 2012. After Earth, United Ranger Survival Manual, Core Survival Manual, is an illustrated manual that describes the F-universe from the history of the United Ranger Corps, written by Robert Greenberger. It was published through Insight Editions LLC and released on May 21, 2013. The book also follows humanity's exodus from Earth and the ongoing battle against the Skrull. It contains the secrets of ghosting, the mastery of the Cutlass, a schematic of the Ranger base, a complete guide to the highly evolved animals of Earth, and a handwritten journal entry from Cypher Rage. After Earth, A Perfect Beast. The official prequel novel of the epic film After Earth, by Michael Jan Friedman, Robert Greenberger, and Peter David is set nearly 600 years after humanity finds and colonizes the planet Nova Prime. The paperback book, published by Del Rey Books on April 30, 2013, is set about 300 years after the last Skrull attack, and the Rangers are in danger of being disbanded. Then, the Skrull attack with a new weapon, a bioweapon. The book also contains supplemental stories set just over 400 years further into the future. Main focus is on the Ragi family and their Ranger heritage. After Earth, Kitai's Journal, written by Christine Paimani and illustrated by Jason A. Katzenstein, is a paperback book with black and white illustrations for younger readers, released by HarperCollins on May 21, 2013. After Earth, the official movie novelization by Peter David, was released in paperback by publishing company Del Rey Books on May 28, 2013. The book features an expanded story of the film, as well as supplemental stories. Video game. A video game based on the film was developed by Canadian developer Behavior Interactive and published by Reliance Games for iOS and Android in 2013, to coincide with the release of the film. Reception box office. During its opening weekend, After Earth took in $27.5 million in box office receipts in the United States and Canada. 48. Sony Pictures projected a launch of around $38 million, but the actual number was 17% lower than the lowest pre-release expectation of $33 million. It finished in third place behind holdover Fast and Furious 6, an action film, and newcomer Now You See Me, a caper film. Taking into account the popularity of principal actor Will Smith, the disappointing finish led the Wall Street Journal to call it a flop. Ray Subers of Box Office Mojo noted the $27 million weekend placed it between two sci-fi flops of 2012 films with $200 million plus budgets, Battleship, $25.5 million, and John Carter, $30.2 million, and also drew half of the co-star's previous openings, Will Smith's Men in Black 3, $54.6 million, and Jaden Smith's The Karate Kid, $55.7 million. Scott Mendelson from Forbes argued that Sony made a mistake of not using M. Night Shyamalan's name to market the film, writing, His name on the marquee reflects that you're not going to get a conventional genre film, that there may be something else up its sleeve. Sony Pictures spokesman Steve Elzer said a weekend take of about $30 million in the United States and Canada would be a solid number for a movie that is not a branded sequel. Sony distribution chief Rory Brewer said, "Certainly we would have liked to have done more, but this was always going to be a worldwide play." The Hollywood Reporter reported Sony insiders also estimated a potential loss at about $20 million if the film does not gross high overseas, though estimates of top executives at several other rival studios are much higher. The film ended up losing on about $30 million overseas, and rival top executives were then proven right. On Jimmy Kimmel Live, Will Smith admitted he was also disappointed with the box office performance and joked, "Here's how I think about it, Jimmy. Let's be honest, 3 is the new one. You know how many ones it takes to make a and it's been almost, in over 2 decades since I had a movie that wasn't number 1. That's over now, buddy, thanks." On the worldwide release the following week, After Earth took in an estimated $45.5 million in 60 overseas markets, narrowly beating Fast and Furious 6 estimates of $45.3 million for the number 1 spot at the international box office. Including the film's launch in South Korea, After Earth made an estimated total of $48.6 million at the international box office, bringing its worldwide gross to an estimated $95,192,000. Sources for Sony Pictures International releasing said the overall launch was bigger than debuts in the same territories of Oblivion, $45.1 million, The Last Airbender $42.7 million, and Jaden Smith vehicle The Karate Kid $32.3 million. Sony distribution chief Rory Brewer said that Sony was happy with the overseas opening and expects much of the film's ticket sales to come from international markets, and it definitely was the exciting start we were looking for internationally. The film's final numbers were $60.5 million in North America and $243.8 million worldwide. Critical response. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 12% based on 214 reviews and an average rating of 3.90 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, "After Earth is a dull, ploddingly paced exercise in sentimental sci-fi, and the latest setback for director M. Night Shyamalan's once promising career." On Metacritic, the film has a score of 33 out of 100 based on 41 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B on an A+ to F scale. Joe Morgenstern, film critic for The Wall Street Journal, opened his review by asking, "Is After Earth the worst movie ever made?" His answer was, "Maybe not. There's always Battlefield Earth to remind us how low the bar can go." Like Morgenstern, Manohla Dargis of the New York Times made note of the film's use of central themes in Scientology, before concluding the film was nothing more than a big-screen vanity project. Los Angeles Times reviewer Betsy Sharkey wondered how the elder Smith could have gone from the charismatic performance in the serious film The Pursuit of Happiness, also co-starring his son, to the performance in After Earth. She also saw compounding problems in the creative process leading to a lack of subtlety and nuance. The script has no nuance, none. And when Shyamalan moves into the director's chair, the script problems are magnified. Scott Foundas of Variety opined that the film was further proof that Shyamalan had become a director for hire, with his disinterest palpable from first frame to last. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian gave the film 1 star out of 5, calling it another uncompromisingly terrible film, featuring a triple whammy of abysmal acting, directing, and story, and saying that Jaden Smith plays the role throughout with a face like a smacked bum, and Kitai, Jaden Smith's character, must be like his dad, show no fear, or any emotion, or any acting talent of any sort. Matt Zoller Seitz of RogerEbert.com awarded the film 3.5 stars out of 4, and commented that the movie is a moral tale disguised as a sci-fi blockbuster. "It's no classic, but it's a special movie, spectacular and wise." Jim Vejvoda of IGN awarded the film a 6.7 out of 10 and commented, "M. Night Shyamalan isn't quite back in top form here, but After Earth is certainly the best movie he's made in years." Charlie Jane Anders of IO9 commented that, "Having suffered through Last Airbender, I can attest that this film is no Last Airbender. After Earth stays grounded and manages to tell a pretty decent story. The special effects received a mixed response. Renee Rodriguez of the Miami Herald said that the CGI creatures in the film look as fake as the monkeys in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Charlie McCollum of the San Jose Mercury News called them surprisingly unconvincing, a step or two above the effects in those deliberately cheeseball sci-fi flicks the Sci-Fi Channel shows on Saturday night. Michael O'Sullivan of the Washington Post called the production design blandly generic, and the special effects, props, and costumes cheap and slapdash looking. However, Austin Kennedy of Film Geek Central said the special effects were top-notch. John Depko and Suzanne Perez of Daily Pilot called them impressive. Nathan Duke of Patch Media said they were impressive enough, and Peter Feldman of The Citizen described them as solid. American astronaut Buzz Aldrin said the movie is quite action-packed and a touching father-son story, but is not realistic because there was a lot of noise. In space, you don't get that much noise. A quote that is highly cited in the news and labeled nitpicking or panning the film. Aldrin was impressed by the set design, stating that the scenes of the cities were really remarkable, but differed significantly from his experience on the moon, which he described as magnificent desolation, in contrast to the magnificent experience that humanity could move itself ahead to get to the moon. Will Smith's response, in a 2015 interview with Esquire, Smith called After Earth the most painful failure in his career, and expressed regret over leading his son into the film. He also unfavorably compared the experience to Wild Wild West, 1999, which also underperformed expectations at the box office. 4K screening. Ryan Nakashima of Associated Press was generally impressed with the film's 4K resolution picture quality, though the visual effects shots that composed about a third of the movie were done in 2K resolution to save on cost and time. Nakashima commented, "I could see details I've never noticed before. The actor's tiny skin imperfections, or Smith's salt and pepper whiskers. In a distant shot of Smith's son Jaden, running down a riverbed, I was struck by how many small rocks were defined clearly from such a distance. Yet other shots that included computer-generated cityscapes or otherworldly creatures looked less sharp." The cinematographer Peter Sashitsky was apologetic about that, saying, "The movie is only half in true 4K. I'm sad about that. It still looks good." Scott Wilkinson of AVS was similarly impressed by the visual effects, though he did not enjoy the movie itself. Even sitting too far away, the movie itself looked gorgeous, sharp as a tack with beautiful colors. The smallest details, such as Jaden Smith's character in the far distance, somehow looked clearer than I would have expected under normal circumstances. I got the distinct impression that the image could have been blown up by quite a bit, and no detail would have been lost. The CGI animals did look a bit artificial, but that didn't bother me very much at all. Controversies, Scientology hypothesis. Some critics were struck by what they saw as parallels in the movie's plot, dialogue, and imagery with the Scientology teachings of L. Ron Hubbard, 64, particularly those in Dianetics, the modern science of mental health, and Dianetics, the original thesis. Similarly, Peter Travers of Rolling Stone compared the film to the flop Battlefield Earth, describing the film as an unholy mess of platitudes and posturing that wastes the talents and charm of Will Smith, 93. Pointing out Smith's alleged ties to Scientology, including his funding of New Village Leadership Academy, a school that uses study tech as its teaching method, Matt Patches of Vulture declared the movie probably the clearest evidence of Smith's investment in Scientology, and detailed how he saw the film paralleling its teachings. The Hollywood Reporter published a guest column review written by former Scientology member Mark Headley, which pointed out similar parallels. David S. Turetsky, a research professor at Carnegie Mellon, and a well-known expert on and critic of Scientology, dismissed these perceived parallels. "I don't see any Scientology content at all in this movie," he told Rich Juzwiak of Gawker. The themes of the movie appear to be standard adventure fare: physical courage, coming of age, father-son relationships, battling danger to prove oneself and earn a father's respect. These are not Scientology themes. There is no mention of evil psychiatrists, mind control, engrams, etc. Turetsky also addressed multiple points made by the Scientology hypothesis, including the film's marketing materials prominently featuring a volcano. The original version of Dianetics did not have any pictures on the cover. After Hubbard dreamed up OT3 around 1967, someone got the idea of putting a volcano on the cover of Dianetics to restimulate the engrams of us non-believers and influence us to buy the book. But most Scientologists don't know anything about OT3 or why there is a volcano on the cover of some versions of Dianetics. A parody website, cheerupwillsmith.com, which was created for the purpose of cheering up Will Smith with the perceived failure of After Earth, gained some attention in the media. Flyers were also posted in East Village, Manhattan, requesting Scientology members to see After Earth a minimum of 3 times, and then upload a positive video for Will Smith on that website. The site has a video mockumentary of 2 Sea Org members, along their way to see After Earth, recording video praises for Will Smith from strangers and cajoling them into signing a billion-year contract with the Church of Scientology. When they delivered the signatures to a local branch of the church near Times Square, a church representative told them they were impersonating the church and threatened to call the police if they do not leave Nutamish. The video and the site was created by Jason Selvig and Davram Steffler of the comedy duo The Good Liars, who had previously pretended to be Time Warner Cable representatives, asking people how they can make service worse for customers. The Church of Scientology International branded the Scientology claims as silly nonsense and a myth launched by a handful of self-promoters. The church's director of public affairs, Karen Pau, stated to the Improper magazine that the film and its storyline contain themes common to many of the world's philosophies, not unique to Scientology. While Pau did not dispute the similarities, she countered that overcoming fear has been a universal theme in stories for thousands of years, as well central to countless film plots. She noted the same logic would seemingly make Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a Scientology-themed movie, which includes the dialogue, "Fear is the path to the dark side. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering." Later, domain registrar and web hosting company GoDaddy took down cheerupwillsmith.com, citing copyright infringement, trademark infringement, and false identity. Joe Clark of the Daily Dot presumes the complaints came from the Church of Scientology nepotism allegations. There was heavy criticism of Jaden Smith's role in the film. Christopher Orr of The Atlantic stated, "He is entirely lacking in the big-screen charisma that made his father one of Hollywood's major stars." Gary Wolcott of Tri-City Herald commented that the 15-year-old Jaden doesn't appear to demonstrate much talent and has zero charisma. Alex Papadopoulos of Grantland referred to After Earth as a parade float tribute to nepotism. Mikhail Lekaros of GMA calls the movie devoid of common sense and purpose, save for nepotism. In response to the nepotism allegations, Gary Sussman of Time magazine argued, "In Hollywood, such nepotism is no sin. In fact, it's often a selling point." David S. Cohen of Variety pointed out that putting family members into projects is hardly new, yet it rarely inspires such vituperation. Abena Agyeman Fisher of NewsOne.com suggested that the allegations were thinly veiled racism and an example of a double standard being applied to black people. However, Charlie Line of The Guardian writes that nepotism has traditionally carried a stigma. After Earth is a lovely surprise. This film from producer co-star Will Smith and director M. Night Shyamalan, about a father and son marooned on a hostile future Earth, is a moral tale disguised as a sci-fi blockbuster. It's no classic, but it's a special movie, spectacular and wise. Smith plays a veteran space soldier with the metaphorically overripe name of Cypher Rage. The actor's real-life son Jaden, the Karate Kid, The Pursuit of Happiness, plays Cypher's son Kitai, an aspiring warrior who just failed his cadet promotion test. The script, co-written by Shyamalan and Gary Whitta, lays out a future world in brisk brushstrokes. Humans have fled a polluted Earth and built cities on the distant Nova Prime. Unfortunately, the planet was already claimed by another species that didn't take kindly to the colonists and created predators to kill them. The predators are called Ursas. They look alike huge versions of Mike from Monsters, Inc., only dipped in acid and slime and outfitted with razor fangs and pincers. They hunt by smelling fear. The humans of Nova Prime fought the Ursas to a draw, but one of them still killed Kitai's sister during a home invasion when the boy was younger. The kid has a survivor's guilt, and his dad feels horrible for being away on assignment when the nightmare happened. On top of all this, Cypher's a bit of a cipher, a warrior known for his ability to ghost, slang for fighting without fear, but very much a ramrod straight man of few words type, so emotionally constipated that he seems to have to remind himself what laughter sounds like. Kitai is the eager young space cadet trying to embody and exceed his father's example, craving expressions of approval and love that his pop's not wired to provide. I realize I've described the main characters as if we spend the first hour eavesdropping on them in therapy. After Earth isn't like that. It's a stoic film about stoic characters fighting for their lives. The Rage's ship is damaged in a freak asteroid storm, tossed out of hyperspace and into Earth's orbit, skims across the atmosphere like a pie plate, and is torn in two. Cypher and Kitai are the only survivors from the front half. Their distress beacon has been destroyed in the crash. The ship's back half, which might or might not contain a working distress beacon, is 100 kilometers away. If the castaways don't call for help soon, they'll asphyxiate or get eaten by predators, one of which is an Ursa that was cargo on their ship, set free by the crash. Cypher's legs are broken. Kitai has to make the journey for him. He only has his trusty cutlass, a retractable double-bladed weapon, and an environmental suit containing basic supplies and a video-audio system that can let his father guide him from afar. Most of the film's dialogue is goal-related. Go here. Try this. No, Dad, that won't work. I should try something else. The film tells its story as Cypher or Kitai might. Each scene lasts as long as it should, and no longer. The camera moves with a purpose. To follow and frame and explain action, conceal or reveal surprises, and deepen the relationship between the characters and their world. This is the right movie at the right time for Shyamalan. He usually writes, directs, and acts in his own features. His control freak tendencies magnify both his merits, spooky atmosphere, cunningly staged shocks, virtuoso camera work, and his flaws, contrived twist endings, sub-Spielberg sentimentality, geeky fake profundity. After the critical and box office misfires of The Village, Lady in the Water, The Happening, and The Last Airbender, some thought he was finished as an A-list filmmaker. His talent was still there, but it was hard to see it behind all that ego. His pop mojo was as wrecked as Cypher's starship. Shyamalan didn't originate this project. He rewrote a script based on a story by Smith, who read a magazine piece about a father and son surviving after a plane crash, reimagined it as a space fantasy, and hired Shyamalan to direct. So he's a gun for hire on After Earth, but clearly not a disinterested one. The M. Night vibe is subdued here, but you can still feel it, particularly in the wide shots of Kitai scrambling along forest floors and up mountain peaks, and in the scenes of Cypher talking his son a treacherous land, their tightly framed faces answering each other through editing, and sometimes seeming to meld into one organism with shared consciousness. In the film's lyrical final act, the two seem as spiritually attuned as E.T. and Elliot. The movie's world is nearly as CGI-enhanced as the title world of Avatar, but it feels more real. It's not a special effects theme park with a new slobbering space beast behind every tree trunk, but a fully imagined ecosystem, a tapestry of flora and fauna. Fern fronds curl in icy night air, flocks of birds form patterns in the sky. Carnivorous baboons, great cats, wild pigs, snakes and condors move like real animals and react to threats with intelligence as well as force. Some of Shyamalan's images echo classic movie tales of survival and madness in nature. Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Jeremiah Johnson, The Searchers, The Naked Prey, The Edge. After Earth is ultimately too thin of a story to support all of its grandiose embellishments. But so what? It's better to try to pack every moment with beauty and feeling than to shrug and smirk. The film takes the characters and their feelings seriously, and lets its actors give strong, simple performances. The younger Smith is a great male ingenue character, unaffected and kind-hearted and free of vanity. The elder Smith stows the Bel Air badass shtick that makes many of his star performances tedious and gives a restrained, very physical performance, letting subtle vocal tremors and shifts in body language hint at the worries that the father hides from his son. In scenes that frame Will Smith's watery eyes and battered crew-cut head in close-up, the star evokes the middle-aged Burt Lancaster, a monument to machismo, worn down by pain and time. The father teaches lessons to the son, and the son to the father. As the poster says, danger is real, but fear is a choice. You can become the master of an event, the creator of a moment, even if it seems overwhelming, if you've absorbed the wisdom of people who lived through similar tests and told you how they survived them. And yet no lessons are universally helpful. No rules ironclad. Sometimes you have to disobey orders, even if they come from a commanding officer who gave you half of your DNA. Parent and child must ultimately separate because it's the only way to recreate themselves as equals. On some level, both characters know this, even though it makes them sad. The movie's world is nearly as CGI-enhanced as the title world of Avatar, but it feels more real. It's not a special effects theme park with a new slobbering space beast behind every tree trunk, but a fully imagined ecosystem, a tapestry of flora and fauna. Fern fronds curl in icy night air. Flocks of birds form patterns in the sky. Carnivorous baboons, great cats, wild pigs, snakes and condors move like real animals and react to threats with intelligence as well as force. Some of Shyamalan's images echo classic movie tales of survival and madness in nature. Aguirre, The Wrath of God, Jeremiah Johnson, The Searchers, The Naked Prey, The Edge. After Earth is ultimately too thin of a story to support all of its grandiose embellishments. But so what? It's better to try to pack every moment with beauty and feeling than to shrug and smirk. The film takes the characters and their feelings seriously, and lets its actors give strong, simple performances. The younger Smith is a great male ingenue character, unaffected and kind-hearted and free of vanity. The elder Smith stows the Bel-Air badass shtick that makes many of his star performances tedious and gives a restrained, very physical performance, letting subtle vocal tremors and shifts in body language hint at the worries that the father hides from his son. In scenes that frame Will Smith's watery eyes and battered crew-cut head in close-up, the star evokes the middle-aged Burt Lancaster, a monument to machismo, worn down by pain and time. The father teaches lessons to the son, and the son to the father. As the poster says, danger is real, but fear is a choice. You can become the master of an event, the creator of a moment, even if it seems overwhelming, if you've absorbed the wisdom of people who lived through similar tests and told you how they survived them. And yet no lessons are universally helpful. No rules ironclad. Sometimes you have to disobey orders, even if they come from a commanding officer who gave you half of your DNA. Parent and child must ultimately separate because it's the only way to recreate themselves as equals. On some level, both characters know this, even though it makes them sad.